Hello, and welcome back to Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Today we have more key quests to work on, because focus. There's just not a lot of key quests, so I'm gonna have to fight the Gypsaros, but I'm in a more positive point playing this game, because I didn't just fight Diablos and suffer as a re-entry into this game. It should go well. I have to remember Gypsaros has different flash triggers in this game than it has in Wilds. It's something head down, a couple hits, it flashes near instantly. So, I'll have to see how it goes, but I am hopeful that I will enjoy this. Sad scientist. Oh, hello. Again, I was trying to roll left there, but that's not how this game works. I need to remember that this Gypsaros is pretty annoying with a couple of its attacks. It should mount relatively soon. Ah yes, there's the down attack flash. Okay, I want to reload. This is intentional. You can't roll out of a reload. But that's a high rank attack. I'm pretty sure master rank attack. I'm pretty sure high rank Gypsaros did not do a super slow poison lob. Which is interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that, so that must be new. I do remember the running while spitting poison. Always very annoying. Figured it would mount soon. But I'm gonna enjoy it. I think this will be fun. I will, however, still not focus too much on the game because it's a Gypsaros, there's not really much. I will probably keep getting distracted, but you know, I still want to, focus on other stuff. Like I read a bit more about a tabletop role-playing game's rules for stars without numbers. Maybe last time I played I might have said space without numbers instead of stars, because just sort of how I categorized it in my head. And it's not numbers, it's number, which actually does make the name, I think it makes the name make more sense. As a sort of, without number indicating like an uncountable amount, I think. Oh, yep, I forgot about that. Lucky. I mean, that right there is exactly why I don't think I'd ever be able to switch off of aerial switch axe. It'd be like avoidance of damage occasionally that is predictable if you're better than me. Just kind of, it's so nice. Now the bad roll is pretty bad sometimes, but hitting wing at least good. Yeah, like reading more about stars without number. It's enjoyable to see like the implementation of telekinesis and stuff within a, pen and paper game. It did something. No, it didn't, because it's immune. And I should have known that. I got very lucky there. But the ways things can be implemented is always neat. It's like, it's too nitty-gritty to discuss, but it's sort of, oh, one of the highest level options you can take lets you form like a linked consciousness with basically your entire party. Maybe not your entire party, like 6 people, and it doesn't have to be your party, whatever. It's a role-playing game, it can be flexible to an extent. But it's sort of, mechanically, that then gives an extra turn, extra actions, because it's implementing the super efficient communication. Like those sorts of like looser ways of interpreting things that if they were real, which they are, would exist. Like not having to talk and everything just sort of being shared more easily would mean that you as a group of people could act more quickly. And actually implementing that as a functional, you know, gameplay mechanic is interesting. And there's another interesting, whatever they're called. They're not skills. They are called, what? Oh. Okay. Hello. They're techniques or something within the book. The actual name doesn't really matter. It's fundamentally a skill or an active ability type thing. I didn't paintball. I'm stuck playing Wilds. Whoopsies. Lucky. It shouldn't be too hard to find him. He might not be here, but probably down a little, but yeah, he shouldn't be. Perfect. But there's one of the psychic, I only read about the psychic because it's the only one that has obvious, that's had an obvious section to itself that was interesting. Though the other classes in the game have, you know, skills and stuff. There's one that's, it's like a skill that's a gestalt, which I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but it's like a shared consciousness sort of combined power idea. I think I've heard it in another context though. Or no, similar context but different meaning. So I'm still unsure 100% as to the precise definition. Because I think I've heard something similar used as sort of a term for, like, super powerful, like, player characters in role-playing games, but maybe that's some other similar term. Or it's an implication of, if it's a combined consciousness, then they can take multiple classes or something silly. But it's... Okay, got stepped on somehow. But the sorts of ideas that can be implemented are neat. Like, there's multiple of these classes, or multiple of the techniques, subclasses of Psychic, kind of, have clear points. Oh, it's right bumper to switch, isn't it? Okay, good, I know that now. Like, there's ones that all fit together. There's an entire system for, I would say, effectively being spell slots for the Psychics. It actually implements things you can invest, you know, points in to not have to spend effort, which is effectively spell slots. And it's different. There's a blurb in one of the sections talking about how if you have, oh, it's like perfect mastery or something with a healing thing, you'd be a super, like, hospitals would pay you a lot of money because you can heal people very easily, which is not super entertaining, but it's fleshing out the story implications of mechanical element of a game. Where mechanically this perfect whatever, I don't remember the exact term, it's not important. It makes it so you can use something no effort. You can use it, it consumes no effort, and you don't have to worry about that. And that applies evenly from things that would normally cost 1 effort for a scene, which is like 15 minutes, is sort of what it is somewhat equated to, or 1 per day, and it's kind of the thinking about it from, a story, it's like they study, they practice, they improve to such an extent at whatever specific discipline that it's as easy as breathing, which can be used to create, a character that can freely, I was going to say freely teleport, but that's actually already pretty easy within the system without the special option from a specific class. It's not a class, it's a discipline basically. I don't remember what the exact term was. But you can kind of imagine, probably could do something with telekinesis. But you could imagine how some character in a sci-fi show or book or novel or anything could sort of be replicated, this lovely camera gameplay. That was terrible. There's a character that can bend air. They're an airbender. It's not the same because it's different. It's obviously airbending and, Avatar is a totally different concept, but it's they can do it infinitely for free because it's not... The Avatar universe kind of doesn't have much specificity when it comes to how much energy bending stuff takes. It seems like it's mostly just an in-the-moment exertion. So it's not really important, but you're a supermaster telekinetic power, you're just perfect. You can replicate that by moving whatever around as much as you want. There's a function where if an enemy attack misses, you can... if an enemy attack misses, you can, telekinetically have them attack themselves with effectively D&D 5e advantage. They roll twice, take the more dangerous hit. If both hits hit, they take the maximum possible damage, that sort of idea. You could build a super tanky focused character. I don't know how tanky you can get in this system, how hard it can be to hit you. The whole character building section comes before any of that. I'm just gonna stick with getting with that, and not the sword because I'm lazy. But if you could get so you get missed enough, you could create a character that never attacks. Purely reflects attacks back on the attacker. Is it a good idea? I expect it being your only gimmick would be pretty bad performance-wise, but I don't know. Maybe it's super viable. It just... These sorts of things allow for so much fairly basic, but still imagination. Still allows for how could this and this be combined? How would telekinetic armor plus being able to telekinetically reflect your enemy's attacks, not reflect, redirect is more accurate. How would that all fit together? They can't... I might check. It might be restricted to... Ooh, funny timing on the Kechawacha. It might be restricted to melee type attacks, but if it isn't, then it's like, oh, they try to shoot you, and you bend it back at them type thing. Oh, yes, this game they don't leave you alone. Forgot. This is something that they've changed for the better. Mechanically. Reactive telekinesis. Instant action, psychic can commit effort to the scene whenever an assailant misses them with a physical attack. That's saying any sort of physical attack. Which is sort of, oh, I don't think bows and arrows are common in a sci-fi setting, but they shoot an arrow at you, it misses, you could theme it however you wanted. Where, yes, it's telekinesis by how it's set up, but say, oh, you redirect it so that it bounces back at them via a pipe. It's like, ooh, it hits it, bounces back. Lots of weird sort of implications to that sort of idea. Oh yeah, telepathy setting. There's a whole skill, I don't know if they're called, technique, whatever. It's all about, you suppress the cognition is what it's called. You suppress the cognition of someone. So, oh, you suppress their cognition of your very existence. Which I think is a fairly common concept of like manipulating someone's awareness so that they can't see you and you just walk past idea. But it's still a fun trope, maybe? Might not even be common enough to be called a trope. I don't know where the line is drawn. Like, you read all these and it's like, oh, this is an interesting implication application. And the way it's set up, you can be an adventurer that's like a half psychic, half something else, so these can then combine with other... It doesn't have to be psychic, it can be other stuff, but it's lots of surprise. Dunes, okay. There's just lots of things that reading these make you think, make me, at least, yes. Make me think of like, how would this work? How would that work? How would a warrior, good at fighting, I think, is basically their primary thing. Half warrior, half teleporting psychic, with the ability to teleport anywhere on a planet. It's all pretty interesting. This system's especially weird to me because it strongly feels built for roleplay and not built for combat. Which I would say my interest leans more in the, you know, mechanical combat, because that's simple. You know, oh, fight these guys. That's a lot easier than playing a character, which is what roleplay's about. So like, okay, I love hitboxes. I was inside of its neck, but that one was garbage. Good, welcome back. I didn't trust that to not do damage. I don't trust this game at all. I think it just goes straight up. Lovely. Loving the game. Very friendly Cephadrome. Double hip check that's pretty bad. Okay, rough. No more paying attention to the game because I will get frustrated very quickly. Yeah, it's kind of... It's an interesting sort of divide in my mind between like role-playing games. I should bring Sonic Bombs. Between role-playing games and, what is it, war games? Like, my understanding is war games are basically just purely the tactical combat. You can roleplay a bit. Like, I think 40k, Warhammer 40k, and various other Warhammer games are like the best known example of war games. I might be wrong. They might not be technically war games. I might be misinterpreting the term. I don't play those types of games because they are model games, all about buying dozens of $100 models and stuff like that. You can play them without doing that, I'm aware, but that's a bad hitbox. Ignore it. Ignore the game. That's kind of silly, that animation. You can build lots of... But, oh yeah, but I was talking about how Stars Without Number feels like a role-playing game much more on the role-playing game than the, you know, combat game design. Where there's a lot of options that are like, you could sort of use this when fighting people, but it's really more of a, you know, you would use this when trying to negotiate as a sort of threat or as a way to trick people. Like, it would be more about the actual, like, dealings with people as opposed to just beating them up. Which, having not played it, having read a bunch of 2nd edition Pathfinder books, Pathfinder feels a lot more... It leans much more into the combat utility side of stuff, because that's kind of the most appealing element of its design, of a bunch of its design components. Not that it's bad at other stuff, just... Hey, knocked down again, nice. Come on, that should have hit. In 2nd edition, it feels more... Again, you can roleplay, but a lot of spells... There don't seem to be spells, many spells, that are totally worthless in combat. Or if they are, it's sort of like, oh yeah, that silly weird flight. And if they are totally worthless in combat, it's sort of... It's unambiguous about them being worthless, instead of stuff like the ability to teleport to the other side of a planet. Technically, you can teleport a shorter distance, but it's also like the element of... There's an element of it that's like, this is probably rarely gonna come up, other than as an escape method. Like, it's weird. It's just interesting reading through these sorts of rules, because there's a very different feel to them. Which might be that old school OSR, old school Renaissance or something, to RPGs that was... I think this one was originally written in 2010. It's like, said old school Renaissance is pretty old already. Can I dung bomb? I did not bring them. Whoopsie, did I bring the ingredients for dung bombs? Nope, I left myself in a bad spot when I stopped playing this game and didn't remember to set stuff up. Curse me. That's a weird circle in front of it as it's running. Oh yeah, that's the thing where it tracks where you were and doesn't update. It definitely has gotten better in the more recent games, where it does that less, at the very least. Yeah, back to more happier thoughts, role-playing games. Sort of. I imagine that, I feel like I've heard of a Monster Hunter role-playing game. But I also imagine it's able to be done using other existing systems. Is it really gonna just leave? Actually, I know that there's Pathfinder 2. There's a well-known third-party supplier, publisher, writer, I don't know, that has a bestiary that gives monsters parts. That, I think reading the name of it, or reading a section of it, never read the actual book, just reading like the headline type stuff, felt very Monster Hunter. It could be that they literally use the words Monster Hunter and it has nothing to do with Monster Hunter, beyond the fact that Monster Hunter, you do hunt monsters for parts. I hate Cephadrome. I know I should have Sonic Bombs. That is on me. But I don't like Sonic Bombs. Please stop swimming. Also really not a nice pair of monsters to fight in the same area. Stop swimming. I need to start ignoring the game again, because otherwise I'll get frustrated. I need to think. I could talk about what, Fabula Ultima? Or the opposite, something like that. Which is an interesting-ish, I think it's an JRPG role-playing game. This sort of thing, and it's kind of interesting. The way the rules fit very well with turn-based role-playing games, and the, you know, classes and all that, decisions and skills and all that all fit very well with that design. It's interesting how I find it's kind of, some of how it's written is a little prescriptive. Is not the, oh, that's going across, yeah. Prescriptive isn't quite the right word, but from the point of view of you can use a system like this however you want, just don't complain about the person who made it when you're using it wrong. I should have paintballed it, but I'll find it again later. But it's very much, this is meant to be used in a more positive, not positive, but like lighthearted way. A lot of stuff that feels like, yeah, that's the intent, but you could just use it differently. I do understand that it's sort of, a lot of these things include that to set expectations for maybe playing with random people. I don't know. Like, if you're going to join a random group playing this game, knowing that the intended style of game is lighthearted, you know, JRPG, the heroes win with the power of friendship type stuff. Like, knowing that that's the intended use case does matter. Like, once you read like 3 or 4 of these types of things in a row or in quick succession, a lot of the things where they repeat, don't be mean to other people you're playing the game with, it feels a little repetitive, which isn't their fault. But it does have that sort of, yep, you're supposed to be nice to people you play games with, you're supposed to enjoy playing games with them. It's not really a lesson. But it's there, I assume, so that if people are rude, you can sort of point to the rules and say, hey, this is supposed to be fun, you're not doing that. As a sort of, if you're playing with random people, maybe, it's there so you can point to the rules and say the rules say don't do this, you're out, so you can use it as a sort of an excuse to, I don't know, easily get someone to not, I mean, they'll complain anyway. The type of person that would do that would complain no matter what. So I don't know. I guess they are probably all written keeping in mind that every game can be somebody's first game. So like having a lot of things with a similar boilerplate bit of information like, hey, games are meant to be fun, is fine. It does read kind of silly the fourth time, but because they almost always say the same thing. Just don't be a bad person, sort of. More detailed, more specific, but ooh, poor deer creature that I can't remember the name of. Kelby. Kelby? Yes, because it's Kelby horns. Did I pick Brashens? Yes. Like, it's interesting to read all these different ones. I bet once I read World Without Number, or World, is it World or Worlds? If it's Worlds, then yeah, the naming makes a lot more sense to me. But once I read that, it's going to be very repetitive, because Stars Without Number and Stars and Worlds are both in the same sort of system. They're supposedly compatible with one another. Kind of like Pathfinder 2 and Starfinder 2 are intended to be compatible with one another, though Starfinder 2 is not out yet. And compatible is probably more of a hate that hit. Is probably more of a fundamental, it uses the same broad systems, not you have to play them together. Because a lot of the stuff, if you're trying to play a fantasy-focused, you know, traditional fantasy... Oh, I get First Aid Med Pluses for free now, that's nice. If you're playing a traditional fantasy thing, there's a bunch of stuff from at least the playtest documents for Starfinder 2 that would not fit with a traditional fantasy setting. Like laser guns and stuff. Energy guns. Some of the mechanical things could probably be applied. It wouldn't necessarily be balanced, but there's various like suppression effects which don't really work in a fantasy setting because you're not shooting a dozen bullets per second. Normally. Rude. But it's an interesting element. A lot of stuff to me... A lot of the stuff about that's kind of weird, like how it's compatible mechanically. That's the big thing. I think that's the main thing. It's not like... It is lore compatible, sort of, because it's in the same world. Sort of. Because one is generally on a planet, the rest is generally in the solar systems, but they aren't timeline compatible, I'm pretty sure. Given that Starfinder is set sometime after the planet that the primary Pathfinder is set up on has disappeared? So it's kind of a little funny, the idea of, oh, something from back then or something from now. So obviously you can handwave whatever you want with time travel or stasis. Like stasis and magic lets you do whatever you want to do. Which is what it's about, you know? It's just interpretations can be funny with like, oh, it's compatible. So the interpretation could be, oh, you could just do this right away, but it might not necessarily fit well with the setting. Which, I mean, it's already a weirdly tech setting compared to pure fantasy, but it's still more steampunk tech than super lasers, rapid fire laser guns tech, I think. I hate not being able to spin, not being able to roll sideways. It's so frustrating to come back to. Ignore the game now. Just autopilot the hunt. Fabula Ultima, I think is the name, because it's like Ultimate Story or something in Latin. There's a blurb at the start that mentioned what it meant. That's a weird commanding. I need to ignore the game. But it's kind of a neat... It's a system that seems to be... It feels like a very rules light... Like, more towards a rules light system. It's not super defined in every single way. It seems very loosey-goosey. Which is a little less interesting to me to read, because, you know, if stuff is not defined, then it's up to imagination, but you need the context for that to matter. Where if stuff is very heavily defined, then the context is a lot sort of simpler to establish, I guess. Like, you can obviously, having read most of the non-Game Master rules, I could sort of see, okay, yeah, I can see exactly how this system was meant to emulate, you know, role-playing games of the Japanese version, stylings. I said role-playing game, but it is a role-playing game, so emulating role-playing games is weird to phrase that way, but okay, almost unlucky with how I slid for a second there down a cliff. Ledge, not a cliff. Oh, I was gonna hit? It did something! No, it didn't! It was inside his face, so it did nothing. It's so bad. Okay, I'm gonna focus on the game for a minute, just so that I try not to forget to clear that flash. So I'm gonna try to mention flash regularly so that I get rid of that terrible skill. It's so bad. It's so worthless. I'm just gonna not fight because I'm still water, and the water is ruinous on stamina regen. Okay, flash removal. Flash rocket, remove the flash rocket. Actually, I'm gonna go back to that. It's kind of Fabula Ultima system. I think what highlights it being somewhat of a rules light, in the direction of a rules light system, is that it doesn't have like a traditional item inventory system. You have equipment and all that, but you don't shop preemptively. You have inventory points that you spend when you need an item. And like some things can be held beforehand in like a makeshift inventory, but it's not, oh, you have to purchase healing potions ahead of time. Where I think Pathfinder 2 and maybe Stars Without Numbers? Maybe it was a different... Oh no, it was Lancer. I think it was Lancer that had the other... Both of at least two things that I've read explicitly have like feats, skills, whatever, that you can take that let you sort of retroactively purchase items. Like, oh, I had always purchased this item. Oh yes, that was definitely Stars Without Numbers, because that was definitely like a precognitive psychic ability, where it's sort of justified as, as long as it can be justified timeline-wise, like you're not hidden behind a you're not behind a metal detector, and you can't bring metal through it, so you can't suddenly always have bought a wrench. Like, you can't have a wrench, but you could have a plastic knife. This is really bad. Yeah, I'm dead because I couldn't run because I got hit by water. I'm not dead. I'm super close to dead. And I'm still hit by water. Excuse me. Okay, don't focus on the game, but remember that I need to flash, or remove the terrible flash skill. Okay, you got shocked, that's good. But those sorts of skills, like, okay, the fact that they codify a, like, retroactive inventory I was trying to roll right, but I keep forgetting that I can't roll sideways in this game. And it frustrates me to no end. Oh! You know what I just realized? That's right trigger. And I can switch and do a sword attack midair. Now that I figured out that it's right bumper, not right trigger. Now that I figured out that it's right bumper to... Okay, I just barely stood up. I don't know what I should be mashing, but I'm just mashing almost everything. And it worked. But those being like codified, like, okay, oh, how to do that with the map? Okay, left stick. Like, that existing as a rule sort of does, I think, draw a very clear line between rules are meant to be followed. You gotta be careful, you gotta, you know, manage your items appropriately. And a lighter, don't worry about managing your items. You can do it on the fly. Which, obviously, everything has its own appeal. I prefer, to an extent, managing stuff. But I also think, like, oh, you don't have a torch. It's like, okay, a torch, depending on the, you know, specific, you're going into a dungeon, you don't have a torch, you should be penalized. If you're suddenly at, like, a random cave while you were traveling in the open, just for whatever, sandboxy sort of thing, then, like, hand waving it's more fine, I think. It's kind of silly. Though I actually don't like the idea of hand waving that. The moment I said, I'm like, no, I don't like that. You should have to go back and buy a torch. Or just play a fancy game and just have dark vision. Or low light vision. Or greater dark vision. Or D&D 5e Devil's Sight. Easy to get Devil's Sight, which is pretty silly. You just take a feat to take a warlock thing. I don't know if this has changed in the newer version of D&D 5e. And then you can just have Devil's Sight, which is just better dark vision. It's a very weird mechanic. It's like, take a variant human and you can just have better dark vision than any other base level group. Or what do they call them in that game? Do they call them races? Or species? Or I don't know what they actually call them in that game. But regardless, that is it for today. I think there are, including the key urgent quest, there are 2 quests left in G1. Oh, never mind. I'm confused. Oh, never mind. Yes, it must complete all G1 Hunter's Hub quests, key quests, to unlock. So yeah, I'll have a double Ludroth quest and a Baroth quest. I don't love Baroth, nor do I love Ludroth. They're kind of annoying, but they're not that bad. And that'll get me to G2, which will have Plethioth. That'll be fun. There's a few fun monsters in G2. I know what the urgent quest is, which is sort of a spoiler, but given that there's basically no story in this game, it being spoiled doesn't really matter. I'm hoping I can get... I want to believe that that is clearable. The giant dragon invasion. I want to believe that's clearable without grinding. And then around there I can start grinding for new master rank gear. Because there's no way I'm fighting Volstrax with high rank gear. But maybe I have to grind at G2. Okay, that'll be making progress next time. So, have a nice day. Bye-bye.